Earworm. An earworm, sometimes referred to as a brainworm, sticky music, stuck song syndrome, or, most commonly after earworms, involuntary musical imagery (INMI), is a catchy and slash, or memorable piece of music or saying that continuously occupies a person's mind even after it is no longer being played or spoken about. Involuntary musical imagery as a label is not solely restricted to earworms. Musical hallucinations also fall into this category, although they are not the same thing. Earworms are considered to be a common type of involuntary cognition. Some of the phrases often used to describe earworms include musical imagery repetition and involuntary musical imagery. The word earworm is a calque from the German. The earliest known English usage is in Desmond Bagley's 1978 novel Flyaway, where the author points out the German origin of his coinage. Researchers who have studied and written about the phenomenon include Theodore Rake, Sean Bennett, Oliver Sacks, Daniel Levitin, James Caloris, Philip Beeman, Vicky Williamson, Diana Deutsch, and, in a more theoretical perspective, Peter Shenley, along with many more. The phenomenon should not be confused with palinacracies, a rare medical condition caused by damage to the temporal lobe of the brain that results in auditory hallucinations. Incidents and causes. Researcher Vicky Williamson at Goldsmiths, University of London, found in an uncontrolled study that earworms correlated with music exposure, but could also be triggered by experiences that trigger the memory of a song. Involuntary memory, such as seeing a word that reminds one of the song, hearing a few notes from the song, or feeling an emotion one associates with the song. The list of songs collected in the study showed no particular pattern other than popularity. According to research by James Caloris, 98% of individuals experience earworms. Women and men experience the phenomenon equally often, but earworms tend to last longer for women and irritate them more. Caloris produced statistics suggesting that songs with lyrics may account for 73.7% of earworms, whereas instrumental music may cause only 7.7%. In 2010, published data in a British Journal of Psychology directly addressed the subject, and its results support earlier claims that earworms are usually 15 to 30 seconds in length and are more common in those with an interest in music. Earworms can occur with positive or negative music. Positive music in this case would be music that sounds happy and slash or calm. Negative music would be the opposite, where the music sounds angry or sad. Earworms are also not solely regulated to only music with lyrics. In a research experiment conducted by Ellen Mock and her colleagues in an attempt to find out if the positive/negative feeling of the music affected earworms caused by that piece, they only used instrumental music. Her experiment determined that all participants experienced a similar quantity of earworms regardless of the emotional valence, although the quality of the earworm did vary. The earworms born from the negatively valenced music brought about more distress and occurred less frequently than those produced by positively valenced music. Antidotes. Scientists at Western Washington University found that engage in working memory in moderately difficult tasks such as anagrams, puzzles, or reading was an effective way of stopping earworms and of reducing their recurrence. Another publication points out that melodic music has a tendency to demonstrate repeating rhythm, which may lead to endless repetition, unless a climax can be achieved to break the cycle. Research reported in 2015 by the School of Psychology and Clinical Language Sciences at the University of Reading demonstrated that chewing gum could help by similarly blocking the subvocal rehearsal component of auditory short-term or working memory associated with generating and manipulating auditory and musical images. It has also been suggested to ask oneself why one is experiencing this particular song. Another suggested remedy is to try to find a cure song to stop the repeating music. There are also so-called cure songs or cure tunes to get the earworm out of one's head. God Save the King is cited as a very popular and helpful choice of cure song. Happy Birthday was also a popular choice in cure songs. Individual songs may become less likely to cause an earworm as their exciting effect fades as a result of excessive repetition. Notable cases. Jean Harris, who murdered Herman Tonor, was obsessed with the song Put the Blame on Mayhem, which she first heard in the film Gilda. She would recall this regularly for over 33 years and could hold a conversation while playing it in her mind. In popular culture, Mark Twain's 1876 story A Literary Nightmare, also known as Punch, Brothers. Punch is about a jingle that one can get rid of only by transferring it to another person. In 1943, Henry Kuttner published the short story Nothing But Gingerbread Left, about a song engineered to damage the Nazi war effort, culminating in Adolf Hitler being unable to continue a speech. In Alfred Bister's 1953 novel The Demolished Man, The protagonist uses a jingle specifically crafted to be a catchy, irritating nuisance as a tool to block mind readers from reading his mind. In Art the Celsius. Calque's 1957 science fiction short story The Ultimate Melody, a scientist, Gilbert Lister, develops the ultimate melody, one that so compels the brain that its listener becomes completely and forever enraptured by it. As the storyteller, Harry Purvis, explains, Lister theorized that a great melody made its impression on the mind because it fitted in with the fundamental electrical rhythms going on in the brain. Lister attempts to abstract from the hit tunes of the day to a melody that fits in so well with the electrical rhythms that it dominates them completely. He succeeds and is found in a catatonic state from which he never awakens. In Fritz Leiber's Hugo Award-nominated short story Rum Titty Titty Tum THT 1959, the title describes a rhythmic drumbeat so powerful that it rapidly spreads to all areas of human culture until a counter-rhythm is developed that acts as an antidote. In Joe Simpson's 1988 book Touching the Void, he talks about not being able to get the Toon Brown Girl in the Ring by Boney M out of his head. The book tells of his survival, against the odds, after a mountaineering accident in the remote Sierra Grande region of South America. Alone, badly injured, and in a semi-delirious state, he is confused as to whether he is imagining the music or really hearing it. In the Dexter's Laboratory episode titled Headband, a contagious group of viruses force their host to sing what they are saying to the same boy band tune. The only way to be cured of the boy band virus is for the viruses to break up and start their own solo careers. E. B. White's 1933 satirical short story The Supremacy of Uruguay, reprinted in China Stories for Today and Tomorrow, relates a fictional episode in the history of Uruguay where a powerful earworm is discovered in a popular American song. The Uruguayan military builds a squadron of pilotless aircraft armed with phonographs playing a highly amplified recording of the earworm, and conquers the entire world by reducing the citizens of all nations to mindless insanity. He peoples were hopelessly mad, ravaged by an ineradicable noise. No one could hear anything except the noise in his own head. Key characteristics. According to research done by the American Psychological Association, there are certain characteristics that make songs more likely to become earworms. Earworm songs usually have a fast-paced tempo and an easy-to-remember melody. However, earworms also tend to have unusual intervals or repetitions that make them stand out from other songs. Earworms also tend to be played on the radio more than other songs and are usually featured at the top of the charts. The most frequently named earworms during this study were the following. 1. Bad Romance by Lady Gaga. 2. Can't Get You Out of My Head by Kylie Minogue. 3. Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. 4. Somebody That I Used to Know by Gotti. 5. Moves Like Jagger by Maroon. 5. 6. California Girls by Katy Perry. 7. Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. 8. Alejandro by Lady Gaga. 9. Poker Face by Lady Gaga. The chorus of a song is one of the most reported causes of earworms. Susceptible Traits. Kazumasa Negishi and Takahiro Sekiguchi did a study to see if there are specific traits that make a person more or less susceptible to earworms or involuntary musical imagery. The participants in the study were assessed on obsessive-compulsive tendencies, the Big Five personality traits, and musical expertise. Negishi and Sekiguchi found that some of the obsessive-compulsive traits, such as intrusive thought, played a role in experiencing earworms while compulsive washing did not. In terms of the Big Five personality traits, neuroticism significantly predicted occurrences of earworms. Musical expertise created an effect of sophistication when it came to earworm occurrences. Tools used in data gathering. One tool used to gather data on involuntary musical imagery and, more specifically, earworms is called the Involuntary Musical Imagery Scale. It was created with the research compiled from George Flordew, Victoria Williamson, and Daniel Mullensiefen. It uses 4 factors to measure different experiences surrounding earworms and INMI in general. Those 4 factors include negative valence, movement, personal reflections, and help. Negative valence is the category that measures the subjective response to the INMI experience. Movement is a relatively new aspect to apply to INMI. It is essentially the INMI experience with accompanied embodied responses, which can include singing, humming, and dancing. Personal reflections is the occurrence of a personal quality, like unrelated thoughts, associated with the INMI, which are not directly related to the valence of the INMI itself. Help is the category which determines the beneficial and constructive aspects to the INMI experiences, which could potentially reflect similarities in the characteristics of unfocused music listening and task-unrelated thought.